And at the moment that the hammer strikes the string, the key is not in contact with it. So the only thing you can vary is the speed, the velocity at which the hammer hits the string. And that, of course, is quite correct. The physicist then went on to argue that you could vary the velocity simply by dropping a brick on the key from various heights. And they argued that that was really all a pianist could do. Well, of course, and they argued that that was really all a pianist could do. Well, of course, the pianists of the day got very angry and said there's a lot more to piano touch than dropping bricks on keys. And of course they were absolutely right too. So both sides were right. And as is very often the case in these situations, they're not really arguing about the same thing. What the physicist was saying is, if we take this into a lab, we can vary the speed at which the hammer hits the string by dropping bricks on it. Perfectly correct, no problem at all. But as soon as you take that out of the lab into the concert hall, the whole situation is different. And there are all sorts of things that a pianist can do that somebody dropping bricks certainly couldn't do. I'm not going to give you a lot of examples, but just one. If I play a chord, and I try to make all the notes the same loudness. Now I do it again, and this time I'll try and make my little finger go a little faster. Could you hear that top note singing out? This time I'll try to make my thumb go a bit harder. Now each time I was playing the same notes, but I'm sure you could hear a big difference. Well, that's just one of the things. All the timings and so on and so forth are all a little bit different. And so when we talk about piano touch, it's a very, very complicated thing that we can only really talk about in the concert hall. Incidentally, that's true of many other instruments as well. And some years ago, a student of mine called Mike Rafferty, who happened to be a very good violinist, helped me with an experiment. This is the oscillograph trace of a violin note which we did in the lab. He just played one note. And then we took him into a concert hall with an audience, and he played a piece, I think it was a partita, but it contained exactly the same note that he played in the lab, and this was the trace we got. You can probably see that what was happening here is that the note before, because this was in a sequence, the note before was dying away, and then the next note is coming up. So there are at least two things happening. One is that when you play a note in a concert hall, it's not on its own, and the first note has to die away before the next one can start. And secondly, if you look at this, it is in fact a different pattern. So that when he's there in the concert hall with the adrenaline flowing, he's actually producing a different sound. Well, that's a sort of moral, I think. And I'm glad to say that I think physicists are a good deal less arrogant now, and we do tend to cooperate rather more in a more friendly way with our musician colleagues.